with David Beavers, Garrett Ross and Daniel Lippman. BGR Group hires Abbott aide to head up new Texas office. Strickland, who was Texas Gov. Greg Abbott's head of the Texas Office of State Federal Relations, will join BGR Group this week as vice president. In his new role, Strickland will open up the firm's new Texas office. The Texas office is BGR Group's first office in another state. Lanny Griffith, chief executive of BGR Group, told PI that given Texas houses numerous industries, including technology, transportation, infrastructure, energy and shipping, there's a lot of opportunity there. Opening a Texas office, he said, is something that will help us serve current clients as well as make it possible for us to attract new clients. Story continued below. Strickland's work will primarily focus on helping Texas navigate Washington. He knows all the members of the Texas delegation. He knows a lot about how the federal government works because that's what he's been doing. He's been lobbying on behalf of the state of Texas and Gov. Abbott here in Washington, Griffith said. In addition, Griffith said that Strickland will lobby Texas state agencies. He will not lobby the state legislature or the governor's office. In an interview with PI, Strickland noted that Texas's growing economy really provides a great number of opportunities for companies and just for Texans in general, but with those opportunities certainly comes some challenges. His previous experience in government, he said, will allow him to continue to serve Texas, just through the private sector. Asked what issues he plans to focus on at BGR Group, Strickland said that working for Abbott exposed him to every issue under the sun. I've been a generalist my entire career, and I expect to do the same, he said. Good afternoon, and welcome to PI. The Senate is back in session today and the House returns tomorrow for a 3-week sprint before taking off for the rest of the summer. What's happening out there? Tips, Melvine at Politico.com and T. Meyer at Politico.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, at @TheodoricMeyer and at Marianne_Levine. Cassidy adds Senior Vice President, Juliette Ricala, who most recently was Chief of Staff to Rep. Doris Matsui, D. Califf joined Cassidy. In an interview with PI, Ricala said that her portfolio will include issues before the House Energy and Commerce Committee, including technology, healthcare, energy and environment, as well as issues related to California. She said Cassidy. Kai Anderson, chief executive of Cassidy. First in PI, NFL drafts Todd Wooten, a principal at S3 Public Affairs, will take a 3-month leave of absence to manage temporarily the NFL's Federal Government Relations Division, as the group searches for a permanent replacement for Jocelyn Moore. Moore was recently promoted to Executive Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs. Big money lining up for SCOTU's fight, from Marianne. Outside groups looking to sway senators and the larger public about President Donald Trump's forthcoming Supreme Court picks say they are planning to spend more than they did during last year's fight over Justice Neil Gorsuch, pointing to the drastically higher stakes this time around. NARAL, Pro-Choice America and the ACLU have already purchased ads asking GOP sends Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska to assess candidates based on their support for the landmark abortion case Roe v. Wade. NARAL spent 5 figures on its first ad buy, while the ACLU spent 6 figures. For its part, Americans for Prosperity, the Koch-backed political advocacy group, is prepared to commit 7 figures to support a nominee in the mold of Neil Gorsuch, according to a spokesperson. Full story. FTC Commissioner hires Amazon critic. Rohit Chopra, a Democratic commissioner on the FTC, is hiring Lina Khan, one of the country's foremost critics of the growing market power of U.S. tech companies and the author of a landmark paper making an antitrust case against Amazon. Politico's Nancy Stoller reports. Chopra's move is a sign that the newly minted commissioner is preparing to take a tough stand against Silicon Valley. A 2017 graduate of Yale Law School, Khan made her name with an academic paper called Amazon's Antitrust Paradox that argues that the current U.S. approach to antitrust law hasn't kept pace with technology and fails to accurately measure the anti-competitive threat posed by companies like Amazon. Full story. Tax staffers rush to K Street. The New York Times' Ellen Rappaport takes a look at the wave of aides who worked on the GOP tax bill, H.R. 115, who were heading to K Street. With the uncertainty of the election looming, Republican staffers are quietly making themselves available to K Street while they can still demand top asking price. Ken Spain of BGR Group told The Times. Among the latest hires, Drew Maloney, who was the Treasury Department's Assistant Secretary for Legislative Affairs and the agency's chief liaison with Congress, will in August become the President and Chief Executive of the American Investment Council, the lobbying group for the private equity industry. And Jared Sawyer, Treasury's Deputy Assistant Secretary for Financial Institutions Policy, has just started at Rich Fewer Anderson, a financial services lobbying firm. Full story. How a government deal with Novartis fell apart. Medicare and Medicaid administrators earlier this year quietly killed a plan to pay for a breakthrough, $500,000 cancer treatment based on how well it worked, scuttling one of the Trump's administration's first and most highly touted attempts to lower the cost of drugs. Politico's Sarah Carlin-Smith and David Lippman report. The payment deal for Swiss drug giant Novartis chemotherapy drew internal HHS scrutiny and is the target of current congressional investigations. Democrats want to know if the company got preferential treatment because Novartis paid President Donald Trump's longtime lawyer Michael Cohen $1.2 million in early 2017 for healthcare consulting work, though there's no indication Cohen played any role in the Kymriah deal. Full story. Jobs report. Sinclair Broadcast Group's policy head has left the company as it continues to pursue its $3.9 billion deal with Tribune Media, Politico's Margaret Harding McGill reports. Rebecca Hansen, who was Sinclair's Senior Vice President of Policy, has joined New York-based HC2 Broadcasting as General Counsel, the company said today. Adam Temple is now National Media Communications Director at the National Federation of Independent Business. He was previously Vice President of Public Affairs at JDA Frontline, the Washington Counsel Ernst. She was previously a senior manager. Shannon Brush has joined Duke Energy as the lead communicator for its federal government affairs and strategic policy team in the company's Washington office. She previously worked in the energy and natural resources practice at FTI Consulting. The National Association of Manufacturers has made a round of hires. Claire Yurkovich, who previously worked for the National Restaurant Association, will be digital managing editor. Charles Crane, who previously worked for the Biotechnology Innovation Organization, will be director of tax and domestic economic policy. Stephanie Hall, who previously worked for the Senate Homeland Security Investigations Subcommittee, will be director of innovation policy. Callie Harmon, who previously worked for the House Education and the Workforce Committee, will be director of labor and employment policy. Jessica McBloom, who previously worked for J.P. Morgan Chase, will be Director of Trade Facilitation Policy, and Kirk Fordham and Patrick Smith will be Directors of Member and Board Relations, with Fordham based in Pittsburgh and Smith in Minneapolis. Hush Blackwell Strategies has added Rochelle Mallett as a principal, based in Lincoln, Nebraska. She was previously a lobbyist for O'Hara Lindsay Government Relations. New joint registrations: Holland Torres Small Victory Fund, Zachidal Torres Small, Deb Holland, Serve America Women's Victory Fund, Serve America PAC, Amy McGrath, Mikey Sherrill, Chrissy Houlihan, Elissa Stotkin, Gina Ortiz-Jones, Elaine Luria, Maura Sullivan, MJ Hagar, Abigail Spanberger, Swalwell Lovin Victory Fund, Rep. Eric Swalwell, Mike Lovin, New PACs, District of Columbia College Democrats, PAC, Virginians for a Great America, Super PAC, Huge Political Action Committee, Super PAC, New Lobbying Registrations, AGM Consulting Services, Inc., Dynetics, Inco Initiatives, LLC, CV Properties Brimley Group Inc., Association of State Correctional Administrators Spick Madigan Jones, Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation Perspecta Inc. and Affiliates, Perspecta Inc. and affiliate to Strategic Healthcare, Morrow County Hospital. New lobbying terminations: Advanced Energy Advisors, Longi Solar Technology, U.S., Inc., SICK, Fox Potomac Resources, LLC, CB. Robin Talon.